The edelkrone bundle I'm reviewing for you in this video is the second most expensive piece of gear I've added to my studio, and quite frankly, if I were asked today if I would buy it again, I would in a heartbeat with no questions asked. So if you've come across this video and are looking for reaffirmation in your purchase, congratulations, you did a great job. Or you're thinking about it and you want to pull the trigger on a system like this, just do it. You will not be disappointed, I promise you. The kit I'm reviewing for you in this video is the SliderPLUS Pro Compact with the Slide Module V2 and the HeadPlus Pan and Tilt Head. I'll also provide my thoughts on the focus and laser modules, as I had about a month to work with those as well. Because there's so much to cover in this review and I don't want to make it an hour long, let's piece this thing together and get through it. Let's start with the SliderPLUS Pro Compact and the Slide Module V2. Both of them are very well constructed pieces of gear that will definitely last you a long time. The SliderPLUS Pro Compact is 17 inches long in physical length, but with the design of the edelkrone sliders, you can effectively double the slide distance by placing this thing on a tripod. With the 17 inch, you can get a slide distance of about 1.6 feet or 50 centimeters in total. The slider is a beast when it comes to load capacity. This thing can handle 50 pounds, 22.5 kilograms on the ground, and 25 pounds or 11.3 kilograms while mounted on a tripod. That's pretty dang amazing and is only possible because of what it's built from. It's 100% CNC machined high-grade aluminum, giving you a fairly lightweight slider with lots of load capacity. Adding the Slide Module V2 to the SliderPLUS gives you the power to motorize your slide sequences in either a single slide motion or a loop shot. For shooting B-roll, this module is great, and if you're not too crazy with the speed at which you set the slide to, you can totally use this setup in a noise-controlled environment like that of an interview setting. It does get a little noisy at full speed, and you can definitely hear it working only when it's at full speed if you're shooting interviews or A-roll like this, which isn't a huge problem for me because I primarily use this thing to shoot B-roll. I usually set it to a slower speed and loop it as to not to distract from my subject too much and add an additional element to cut to. It's really nice to have this second angle to use to make an interview feel more organic, or A-roll to feel more organic, to cut to it without having these substantial jarring jump cuts. It is just a really nice thing to have in your workflow, especially when you're considering this piece of equipment for interview settings and stuff like that. It's absolutely awesome. Here's an opportunity for me to bring a microphone closer to this whole setup and have you take a listen to how it performs. This is the entire HeadPlus and SliderPLUS Pro Compact system at work on a slower speed setting versus a maximum speed setting possible. For me, the SliderPLUS Pro Compact with the Slide Module V2 is the perfect addition to my workspace because it's small in stature but delivers more on the travel distance than a traditional slider for added stability while using this thing while mounted to a tripod. You will absolutely need a beefy tripod to manage the weight of this system, and you're definitely going to need to attach the slider directly to the half ball of that tripod system that you've purchased. This is to avoid bowing in your slide and or complete system failure where your system ends up falling over, which you don't want, especially when you spend this much money. You should not mount this system to a fluid head directly. only to a ball head. It needs to have a strong connection to your tripod, and those legs need to have a substantial stance on the ground so things don't topple over on you or bow or just ruin your shot entirely. Alone, the SliderPLUS Pro Compact retails for $799 USD at the time of this video, so it's not cheap, but there are more affordable options from edelkrone. If you'd like to see a comparison video between the SliderPLUS Compact, which is a much more affordable option, and the Pro Compact, which is what I'm using in my workflow, feel free to hit this card here or the link in the description. In that video, I talk more in detail about the slider's design and feature set between the two, and if saving $300 is worth it to you. As far as motorizing your shots, I would definitely add the Slide Module V2 to your kit, as it gives you the ability to automate your slide movements. It's a $500 attachment that you can attach to the SliderPLUS system, and it has a super quiet motor and backlash-free gears. It is audible under top speed conditions, but it's not too much to where it distracts from your shot, but you can hear it. With the Slide Module V2, you can purchase battery brackets for it, either Canon or Sony battery compatible, which makes these two things work really well on the go and fit into your workflow, because I know some of you may have Canon batteries at the wazoo, and then like me, I have Sony NPF batteries all over the place, so I went with that bracket. Not to waste any time, moving on to the business end of this system, the HeadPlus. I've had some issues with installation of the battery bracket to the HeadPlus, and you'll have to be careful with how hard you tighten the M3 screws that attach the bracket to the HeadPlus. If you tighten them too tightly, you're liable to strip the threads on the HeadPlus mounting this battery bracket like I did. I was really nervous on when I stripped those out because it wouldn't seat properly, because the M3 screws that are provided in the brackets that I bought are really short. So be careful when installing the battery bracket. I solved this problem by drilling out some of the plastic on the bracket itself to allow for more of the screw to seat correctly directly to the HeadPlus. Not a huge deal, but something I had to solve on my own because I didn't want to send my system back to edelkrone to fix. edelkrone will, because they offer some great warranty coverage and service plans at no additional cost. If you want to know the details of that, there will be a link in the description of this video talking about their warranty and their coverage and their accidental damage things that they do. edelkrone really does a nice job at kind of facilitating their customers in the most cost-effective way possible. On the performance of the HeadPlus, I will say it has been one of the most pleasant experiences I've had with any motorized piece of camera gear that I've ever used. It is literally one of the easiest pieces of gear that I've used to capture ultra professional looking shots. The one thing that I like the most is that you can physically move the system to the pose that you want, record that pose in the app, and continue that process for up to 6 poses in the application on Android or iOS. It makes it super simple to use, and I love using this thing. There's no messing around with joysticks or app controllers. You just grab a hold of the system with your hands physically and move it to a position that you want the camera to be in or the direction you want. Press and hold on the app to record that position. Repeat until you have a solid sequence and begin shooting. Super simple, super easy, and super awesome. There are some additional accessories that you can add to the system if you want really granular control over your shots. The focus module allows you to use a cinema lens to control focus distances. You can also attach it to the zoom ring on your lens to get some really cool vertigo shots if the camera has a decent auto-focusing system. It should be noted that focus control only works with cinema lenses that have hard stops and teeth. I tried to use this with the Sigma 18-35 art lens and got really mixed results, most of which were not desirable and completely and utterly frustrating. This is the only thing that I had any trouble with, and it was absolutely just drove me bonkers. I even contacted edelkrone support, but they confirmed that this thing is only for use on cinema lenses. If you don't have a cinema lens or don't plan on using the focus module on your system, I wouldn't recommend it. You can go ahead and save yourself about $700 by not including it in your purchase of your kit. The other module that I would recommend you pass on is the laser module. It helps with targeting, but I think it's priced a bit high. For $369, you get pinpoint adjustments on targets in target mode on the edelkrone app. Additionally, you can still use target mode without the laser module. It adds a crazy amount of coolness to your setup, but it's not needed, and I would recommend you save the money on it. The HeadPlus has a 10-pound payload capacity, or 4.5 kilograms. Edelkrone makes a HeadPlus Pro that has double the payload capacity, coming in at 20 pounds or 9 kilograms. But it's $1,000 more from the starting price of $1,799 that the HeadPlus comes in at. The HeadPlus Pro is for cinema level cameras. I do want to include here that the HeadPlus manages a stripped down Canon C200 with no issue at all. 10 pounds is a lot, and you can definitely do a ton with that much of payload. You can add like 17 Sony a7 IIIs to this thing and it'll still work. It's a pricey piece of gear, but it does a lot and is super accurate. It has backlash-free gear system design into it and has near silent motor operation. On to the last part of this whole ecosystem, the app experience. I will say it's consistent across platforms. So regardless if you're on Android or iOS, edelkrone does a fantastic job at making it consistent between the both of them. Its intuitive design and on-screen prompts make it easy to use quickly. There's not much of a learning curve to it. I think edelkrone has done a fantastic job at making the app work for you, not against you. But there are problems with app controls. I have come into situations where I was nearly out of power on my smart device and had no other means of controlling the system, and that's something you'll need to plan for. If I were running a full-time business in media anything and I needed this system, I would definitely invest in like an iPod Touch for dedicated control of the edelkrone bundle. It's an additional cost, but it's worth it. There have been times when a call has come through during a shoot and I've had to pause it because I have to jump out of the edelkrone app to address that call. And it freezes, the system will keep going, but jumping back into it causes some problems with that whole thing. Now, you shouldn't be taking calls during shoots and whatnot, but it does happen and you just have to plan for it. Now on to my final thoughts. If you're in the market and are evaluating this system for purchase, just pull the trigger, but with one caveat. Build your own bundle and save yourself quite a bit of money, or apply that money that you saved in different ways. If you don't have a cinema lens, then don't buy the focus module. Just don't. That alone saved me $700, and that could be applied to buying a really nice tripod. And definitely skip the laser module regardless if you have a cinema lens or not. That's a cool $370 that you could put towards picking up an iPod Touch or an iPad mini for dedicated control of your system. If you take the time to build your own bundle and purchase your HeadPlus, SliderPLUS, and Slide Module V2, your initial investment would be around $2,500 USD. So not cheap, but way more affordable than if you bought a pre-built bundle with the focus module and laser module included. At the time of this video, that is. And for everything this system adds, that's not a bad start to buying into edelkrone's modular ecosystem, because you can add to this thing as time goes on. So if you find yourself that you later on down the road that you do want the focus module, or come across some cinema lenses and want to use them, you can do that. You can purchase that thing separately. I'll link my recommended bundle below in the video description. I'll also piece out everything that I talked about in this video with separate links. Full disclosure, those are my affiliate links, and if you purchase through them, I get a small amount of the sale without it costing you anything in addition to your purchase. It's just a solid way for you to support content creation here on this channel. Before I close, I must disclose, there's nothing to disclose. I purchased all of this kit with my own hard-earned money, and I'm just sharing with you my entire use case and use experience. So hopefully you found this review helpful, and if you did, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm Tomas, and I will catch you in the next one.